and Cris Carter. Ooh, Cris Carter got beef with Skip Bayless. Duh. I mean, you ain't got to be on the inside to know that if you know their history. All right, so let's get into this one. And I wish it was one of the fights like it was at the end of Rocky when Apollo and Rocky were sitting there, ding, ding. And then they ended it like this. Y'all remember that when they were like, well, this one didn't go that far, but they were about to go there. Well, Cris Carter has a podcast, and now he's starting to tell you his stories, which is history, right? And I know Cris Carter, shout out to the Hall of Famer, the legend, greatest hands ever. Greatest hands ever. That sucker could catch, boy. Goodness. And Skip Bayless, man, one of the greatest to ever do this sports media. Whatever you want to say about Skip Bayless, you got to put him on the Mount Rushmore in terms of what we do. Well, there was a time, once upon a time, ladies and gentlemen, where there was no first take. It was cold pizza, and that morphed into first take. And there was a time when Cris Carter was at ESPN, just like Skip Bayless. And there was a time where Cris Carter was at Fox, just like Skip Bayless. Well, let's go behind the scenes of one of their encounters and one that sent them on different paths, even though they were at the same place. Let's let Cris Carter tell you about his beef with Skip Bayless. Lord, this is funny.
A number of years ago, I was on a show with Stephen A. and Skip Bayless. And
both of them?
Yeah, both of them, on their show.
Yeah.
I was working at ESPN doing NFL. I would do Mike Greenberg after doing my NFL stuff, and then I would come on there because Stephen A. and I were friends. I didn't know Skip personally, and I'm going to be honest with you. Skip Bayless is not one of my favorite people.
I can imagine.
Okay. So I'm on there doing the show. I do the show and everything. And then all of a sudden, this is when the Tebow phenomenon was going on. Mm-hmm. And he was a huge Tim Tebow guy. You know, this guy is this.
I remember it.
Okay.
Oh.
So I come on there on a Monday, and, you know, we're trading barbs and everything. We go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then I just level set it and was like, listen, if throwing the football is important in the NFL, Tim Tebow will never be a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Yep.
So he got defensive, and then he came back and said, well, that's why you didn't win a Super Bowl. Okay.
So what'd you say?
Which got nothing to do with nothing.
Agreed.
We went to commercial break.
So you didn't say nothing before commercial? He just said his...
No.
Okay. Good man.
I took my earpiece out, and I told him, I'll never be on your show again.
Yeah.
And if you ever say anything like that to me again, I'll punch you right in the fucking face.
Okay. Woo! Y'all ever hear of the switch that football players have? Y'all just witnessed somebody showing you, without hitting it, the switch. Did you notice how he kept talking, looking this way, and then look at his co-host, and looking this way, and looking at his co-host? The intensity of that dude, that same intensity was controlled. That rage was controlled in that moment with Skip Bayless. Now, I know Cris Carter. So when Cris Carter steps in the room, you're going to know Cris Carter's in that room, right? All of his personality is going to be on display. He is a funny dude. He's a lot to be around because he's a lot in terms of being a person and accomplishments. He going to let you know how great he is because, damn it, I'm great. He can speak it, he can talk it, he can walk it every single level. Why I bring that up is because when you're with somebody who is not that full of themselves, and I don't mean full of themselves in terms of cockiness, I mean full of themselves in terms of accomplishments. There's a different ego in the room. And when you get a personality like Cris Carter and a persona that's trying to be like the personality of Cris Carter and Skip Bayless, Cris Carter is. Skip Bayless is trying to be when he puts on his costume, his persona. Because Skip Bayless in real life, even though he's accomplished, tremendous journalist, I know all that, that ain't the same. Because you writing about what somebody else is doing. The athlete's like, I did that. That's why the athletes walk in the party and take your girl. because you got to sit there and talk about him, and she heard you screaming his name. You mad that she now dating him and screaming his name when you at the game at 7:30 was screaming his name. You get it? Athletes are different, bruh. So there's a persona. I'm going to put this on. I'm going to act like this, and I'm going to be this, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to stick my stake in the ground, and damn it, Tim Tebow's great. And anybody else that says anything different, damn them, and I will get them. Sounds great in a movie. In real life, in these streets, on this field, on this desk, in this studio, oh, who I really am going to come out, homeboy. And when you got Cris Carter talking, and I've been there before, I always tell you guys there's a Nick Wright story to be told about Cris Carter and Nick Wright. And I know that, but just waiting for the time. You know me, I always need the world to take me there. I don't go there first. That's how I keep all these stories. But I love both of those guys. Nick Wright, just side note, will be the face of FS1. They said it when I was working there, way back then. And now him and Colin Cowherd, 1-2 punch if Colin stays. Point being, Cris Carter and Skip Bayless, what happened in that moment, what went wrong, is Skip Bayless will always take a wrong turn when confronted with a real one. Think about this. Wasn't that eerily similar to what Shannon Sharpe had to go through with Skip Bayless? When Skip Bayless' stake was Tom Brady's the greatest, and everybody sitting there like, okay, who you arguing with? Like, and then that turns into, oh, you don't agree with me? You don't believe me? You ain't fanning me like I am? You ain't winding my sails to my conversation, my discussion points? You don't think I'm the done data? That's why you ain't. And the craziest thing about somebody coming at you that has less than you in this conversation, saying you ain't, is if I ain't, who are you? This was one of the things that always caught me up. And this is why I knew I wasn't going to ever be the top dog. There was no Stephen A. Smith in sight for me. Because I literally, in the middle of an argument, other than being distracted, y'all know me, I'm crazy, would actually say, hey, dog, let's calm down, especially your ass, because he way better than you. He better than me, but he way better than you. And I can say that about everybody, because half the cats I work with didn't play. I hate when people say 3 halves. You ever hear somebody say that? And then the other half were women, and then the other half was sorry. That's 3 halves. So I'm going to say it like this. A third of them didn't play. A third of them that did play were kind of sorry. Sorry to me. And then a third of them were just women. They didn't even have a chance to play. Shut up. So I'm sitting there arguing with a fool who trying to bring him down, and he greater than me and you combined. Can't do that. So the conversation ends. Why do we even do the topic? Well, Cris Carter, let's just say in a lot of conversations, because he knows himself, because he is full of himself and those accomplishments, as he should be, is sitting there like, mother sucker, if you don't shut your mouth. Oh, you told me to shut my mouth. Oh, you told me I don't know what I'm thinking. You told me I don't have the credentials. You told me I'm the fool for thinking else, thinking different than you. What? Mother sucker, shut your... So, obviously, we've seen some on-air dust-ups with Skip, Jalen Rose, Richard Sherman. There were behind-the-scene ones as well, as you just heard from Cris Carter. And there are more. There are many more about a lot of people, but especially Skip Bayless. That incident happened. Skip Bayless was not authentic in what you guys saw. Just being real. Like, there's no way. Like, one of the greatest compliments I get is people come up to me like, damn, dog, you the same dude that you are on TV in real life. I'm like, yeah, fool, what you think? I just don't curse. Like, in real life, I do curse. Not around itty bitties, though. But in real life, I curse. Funky. But on TV, nah, because they going to get fined. It ain't because I'm scared and I ain't going to be real, because I don't want them taking my money. They gonna get fined. FCC coming. So fuck. Oh, see, it was a funky. Point being, Cris Carter's the same dude in real life as he is on TV. Let me give you that. If this is even a criteria, a credential, or attribute that y'all care for, a lot of people come up to me say they like that. Skip Bayless, no, no, not even close. And I think when the real ones get around that, when Kendrick around Drake, sometimes you just be like, they not like us. And you saw a moment, and there are more. His podcast, that one clip, I got about 4 more topics coming. So you know how last week we did Dan Le Batard like 4 times? Be prepared. Like a Lion King, damn it. We're going to do some Cris Carter topics because he's dropping jewels and gems. Maybe he'll drop one to get us to that Nick Wright conversation and why they couldn't work together no longer at FS1. So beat it up in the comments. Tell me what you think about that. Did you even know it? Did you know that Cris Carter all of a sudden dipset? He just left because he was going to punch Skip Bayless in the face? Do you think it was smart for then Skip Bayless to attach his authenticity, his credibility to Tim Tebow and die on that hill? Lose co-workers. And I said workers. We're not done with this conversation, right? Beat it up in the comments. Let me know what you think about that whole scenario. And do y'all want to see Cris Carter back at it? Because it's good to hear him. Because CC boy talked that talk because he already walked that walk.